of the United States of America, republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we even do the minutes, I would like to, at this point, do a moment of silence for our sitting legislator, Lori Mubano, that passed away this weekend. And then before we even go into the approval of minutes, also I think it'd be good to introduce ourselves since we have some new people here, so they know who all of us are. I'll start. I'm Mel Chesbrough, legislator and chairman of this wonderful Economic Planning and Development Committee.
I'm Noelle Solomonson. I'm the vice chair, and I'm Oswego County legislator for District 21, which is Annabelle area.
Ed Gilson, legislator for the town of Ridgeway.
Corey Hill, I'm legislator from Constantia.
Danny Ryrick, Deputy Director of Community Development Planning and Tourism.
Consultant Director of Community Development Planning and Tourism.
Hi, Amber Preston, PTEC Liaison. Hannah Peacher, Principal PTEC.
Brian Huffron, Administrator of Workforce Development with City Bonuses.
Dave Turner, Strategic Initiatives for Oswego County.
Rachel Pierce, Director of Employment Training.
Austin Wheelock, Executive Director, Operation Oswego County, CEO of the Oswego County IDA.
Raven Ahart, Clerk of the Legislature.
Frank Stewart, Jr., Minority Leader, District 25.
Marie Shad, legislator for the 19th District.
Paul Connolly, legislator for District 20.
Veronica Turner, Budget Analyst and Auditor.
Savannah Wyckoff, Oswego County Tourism.
I'm Paul Forster. I'm the Director of Cooperative Expansion for the County this week.
And Paul, I thought I saw him go around.
Oh, he's here.
Oh, he's here. So
Right, I'm late.
you're, yeah, you're like, I saw Paul. I didn't see you come in, Jim. I saw Paul come around here.
Jim Weather, I'm chairman of the legislature.
And there'll be another big fella coming in. That's Paul House. He's another legislator. Okay, so approval of the minutes. Motion?
I make a motion, accept the minutes.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Okay, resolution 1, resolution authorizing the transfer of accelerated transit capital funds from shop equipment line to diagnostic equipment line. Motion to discuss? Second?
Second.
Okay, basically what this is we have some diagnostic equipment that is old, and it only takes care of our buses that are 2015 or younger. So therefore, it is time. It is only $3,800. It's going to be just a transfer of funds, and these are all our buses. So it's one of those, an ounce prevention's worth a pound of cure, and that's why the resolution has been asked to go in front of us. Any questions or concerns? Yes, Brian.
How many buses do we have?
Of the 7 buses, 5 of them would be in the younger.
So we have 7 buses total?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Okay, we do have one other resolution. It is a walk-on. It's resolution, as this is going around, resolution authorizing budgetary modifications for the Department of Community Development, Tourism, and Planning the Snowmobile Trail Grants. This is an annual grant that we usually do, and it is since 1987, and the funds are provided for trail maintenance. Motion to discuss?
I'll move it.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? Tim?
Can I say, I just wanted to also mention, this is something that we do every single year. We partner with the 10 snowmobile clubs throughout our county. We get money from New York State, which we then pass through to the clubs, which they use to groom the trails for all of the riders. The amount that they receive is based on the number of mileage that they have of actual trails, and every year they're required to go through and actually track those mileage and report it back to the state. Many of you probably are involved with some of our snowmobile clubs across this county. It's obviously an important course of tourism for this county as well as for recreation. One of the things that we've recently run into is that many of our clubs are volunteer driven. I mean, they all are volunteer driven. None of those folks are paid to do what they do. And it does take quite a bit of time to maintain those. The county planning office has, for a number of years, worked along with them to help them get the information to the state that they need. The state then gives us the money and we pass it through to them. We are finding more and more requirements from New York State to utilize those funds, and so we are seeing there's a larger draw on the county resources to provide those services. We're working with a person who's in the snowmobile club who has offered her time as a liaison, and she's been one of the ones who's really been helping us with putting together the information that's needed for the state. The state is asking for more, and as a volunteer operation, many of which are folks who aren't necessarily as computer literate or as you might think, and so we really have been working with them. But if you have any concerns from any of your communities, I know last year there was some concerns about some admin money. Just so everyone is very clear, the county does not take any funds away from snowmobile clubs to provide the service we do. The state has provided a separate pot of money that cannot be used for the trails that we can then use to reimburse some of the time we spend helping them. So just want to make sure that's clear. There was some confusion last year on that.
Craig?
How many clubs is this money getting distributed to?
It goes to all 10 clubs.
All 10.
And it goes based on the mileage that they serve or that they offer.
Three.
State.
Are ATVs run on these trails as well, or just snowmobiles?
This is just snowmobiles.
Okay. And wildlife protection is in place and observed?
Yeah, all of these trails need to go through New York State DEC approval. Everything is formally approved by New York State.
Thank you.
And we are offering a meet and greet with the trail presidents this Thursday night. If anyone would like to come, we're going to be here in this room. Haven't really had a lot of everyone getting together, kumbaya kind of thing, so we're going to do that. Hopefully understand from them those things that are making it difficult for them. When I first came in and reached out to each of the presidents, the one did say to me, if you could make us a little more snow, that would be helpful. So anything you guys can do with that.
Okay, we certainly can put that to vote. Yes, right.
I have a bad feeling about it. The only reason being is, and I told this story once before, that a few years back I was up in the North Country, stopped in at one of the reservoirs to see the water and stuff. I ran into an old employee from Carrier, and he told me that he was a club member, and he said that it was he got out of the club because of the information that the clubs were giving was not particularly honest information, and that's why he got out of the club, because he said, how could you say that in front of all those legislators? And the guy said, well, because we need the money. So it's the only bad feeling I have about them. Plus, when we have the great North American Whiteout in Fulton, which is run by one of the snowmobile clubs, they're charging like somewhere around $30 to go in to see the antique, snowmobiles, and that money goes to the club. So I'm just looking at it as these guys are in it for a lot of money grab, but it's state money, it's my tax money. I just don't feel comfortable with it, that's all. And there's a lot of good that they do, okay? But I'm just saying that's my bad feeling on it, okay?
Just a point of information, it's not tax money, it's registration that the snowmobilers themselves register their snowmobiles with. So it's not in any way, shape, form tax money. As far as the FAST group, which is Fulton Area Snow Travelers that has that show, that particular show has nothing at all to do with this grant. Just so everybody's clear on that.
And there are, also, if I could, there are miles, so when we talk about the mileage that the money comes through for us, those are state approved miles. And those do need to be GPSed. I mean, that's part of the kind of that added responsibility is you have to prove it now more than ever. There are other trails that are not state approved trails that the state doesn't fund, and some of these clubs still need to maintain those. And so there is some added expenses that I'm assuming that they use those funds for.
So it's their own money from the registration that is this $263,000 that has been garnered by the state, and then it comes back to those and by the mileages to maintain the trails.
Not only they verify the mileage itself, they have to do a log of volunteer hours, and they have to put in formula every club, every mileage different. They have to actually do the volunteer, the trail clearing, whatever. It's a big, quite an operation.
Right, the volunteers, and I mean, nobody's getting paid to actually groom, but it's mostly for the equipment that they use, which if you've ever seen it run, it's pretty substantial equipment. I did want to mention too that, we were going to try to give Tim 5 demerits for walking this on late, but since he had that meeting set up for all the snowmobile club presidents, we're going to take those 5 points back off. You're pretty good there, Tim.
Any other questions or concerns?
I'd just like to say that the reason that they charge to get into that show, one of the reasons is the insurance costs have gone up astronomically. And they are covered with insurance, these clubs, for the benefit of everybody. So I think it's a great thing.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Pass. Okay, let's go right on to the agenda. The next thing, a bid for the vinyl wrapping of public transportation buses. I'm extremely excited about this. People will be able to finally visually see these are public buses that we are having on our roads and picking people up. People will be much more apt to pick them up. Tim, you got anything else you want to say about those?
Just that we put this out. There were only 2 respondents, and we're going with the lower of the 2. The plan is to work alongside that vendor, as well as internal, put together what that wrap will look like. But we've heard, I think, loud and clear that the county is looking for a distinct difference between the buses that we own from the other ones running around the county. So.
Good. And then the marketing to let people know that those buses are for the public, anybody. Okay. Any other questions about the bid? All right. Dave, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just for clarification, this is state transportation money that we received a couple years ago and set aside for rebranding. So these are local dollars.
Another great thing to get some people moved around. Okay. All right, Brian, you're up.
Yeah, all right.
Byron, I like that.
I like it. Good morning, everyone. So in 2015, industry came to our education community and said, we're facing a skills gap. We have an aging workforce that is retiring early. That was even before COVID, which accelerated that quite a bit. In addition, we had a pool of qualified candidates that were shrinking in our region that were pursuing the manufacturing field. This was something that we had seen over a decade or so. In fact, at that time, we were still coming off of an area where students were pursuing sort of trades at a less rate than they had previously in different time periods in our region. So our folks came together and we created a model called P-TECH. And I know many of you are aware of P-TECH and have followed our growth over the last 8 years. I was just reflecting on this with our team the other day, that it is hard to find a manufacturer right now in Oswego County and even in the greater region that does not have hired at least one P-TECH graduate. And that's a testament to the hard work that our students have put in, hard work to our staff, that really has embraced this model and its differences from what maybe a traditional education pathway is. But more importantly, it is a testament to the success that we've had with our industry partners. We right now have roughly 23 industry partners who have committed not only financial support, but more importantly, time, which in many ways can be argued as a more valuable resource, to support this program. And they continue to support this program. And the reason why is that the students that are graduating from this program are transitioning into positions that they feel are going to be able to replace this skills gap or reduce this skills gap as we move towards the future. So the reason why we're here today is to talk a little bit about some investments that we at City are making into this program in response to the feedback that our industry has provided us in terms of what we need to do to make sure that we are modernizing this workforce to handle the future of manufacturing, which we know is drastically changing in many different ways. Before I hand this over to Amanda Petrie, our principal here at P-TECH, I do want to just share that the other day we invited representatives from Micron up to our facility. And they already knew who we were without us having to pitch anything to them. They already had us on the map because of the success that we've been able to show in this county of being able to respond and work with industry partners. And that's truly what Micron was looking for. I will say that when we were walking around our facilities, there was a bit of a shock that we have been able to do so much with what one could describe as very little when it comes to the facilities that are needed to engage students, to excite students, and to prepare students for the future of manufacturing. So this presentation today is really about talking about our future and what we hope to continue, which is a strong relationship not only with industry, but also looking to our community as well for support in a program that I do feel is going to continue to have a significant role in the growth and the economic growth of our region. So, Amanda?
Yeah. Before I get started too, I was a social studies teacher for 14 years, and I saw the writing on the wall with CTE and a career in the trades. My parents own A&P Auto up here in Oswego. We race super modifieds. So this field is near and dear to me. And I think that this program is absolutely remarkable and innovative, but our kids deserve better. And I think as we go through the presentation, like Brian said, it's remarkable what we've done with very little. Now, how many of you are really familiar with the P-TECH model? Like, really, you got it? Okay, I just want to, because it's important to understand that model before we can talk about the needs of it. So we have basically grades 9 through 14, and they start with us at City BOCES. We have a small modular school. Grades 9 and 10 take general education courses, algebra, global, things like that, in addition to taking some OCC courses. Their junior year, we ship them up a couple days a week to OCC. Their fourth year, they're full-time at OCC, and then they continue on in their fifth and sixth year. We focus solely on advanced manufacturing with 3 pathways: mechanical, electrical, and then the future Micron pathway, ideally electromechanical. It's a very rigorous pathway. It's a lot of work. And if you can imagine, there's a lot of prerequisite skills that are needed for our students to be successful, both academically and soft and hard skills. The goal is that we pump out, actually I missed a huge step. We have a huge partnership with industry, right? That's the huge facet of a P-TECH that makes us one of the most successful P-TECHs. The goal is we pump out students into Oswego County workforce. We actually nicknamed ourselves Oswego County's future workforce. And our goal with this grant is to really make not only, the 160 students that we have currently, not just a select majority of them be successful, but we're aiming for 100% success rate. So we're aiming big. Our success data. We take on students from all over Oswego County. 85% of our students are from a disadvantaged background. 50% of our students are for free and reduced lunch. We are not taking the upper echelon, the upper middle class students. We are taking students from in poverty or have a trauma or the first in their family to be going to college. We're willing to take that on. Some of our success data, we just had a student called Brian. He's 19, he got hired at National Grid. He's making $140,000.
Yeah, 140,000.
Yeah, I got into the wrong field. We had another student turn down a sheriff's position because he's making so much money at Novellus. Like, we are taking students and retraining this cycle of poverty. It's really, truly transformative. Having worked in, the traditional school setting, the amount that we're placing students in job shadowing, we're 100% job shadowing. Our juniors are all going to get multiple placements coming up in January. We have 85% or more of our seniors in internships. 100% of our students graduate from high school. And the average number of credits earned is 36. So if they maybe don't finish OCC because they get picked up by an industry partner and are making pretty good money, they're still leaving with 36 plus credits. So when I say we are a successful program, we are, but we could even be better. Our why are we here today? This is our technology lab. It's carpeted, it fits about 15 students safely. We are an advanced manufacturing program. We are a STEM program. We cannot do STEM and advanced manufacturing. That young man that's standing there is standing in front of a paper roller coaster tower. We have 40 bags of tools from Novellus donated. They're sitting in a closet. We can't use bandsaws, we can't use mills, we can't use lathes. So our students are coming to us knowing that we're an innovative STEM school, and for their 9th and 10th grade years are stuck in a classroom like that while we're putting Band-Aids on the activities that we can do. They go up to OCC with skills gaps. So the students that have a great background, their parents are, gearheads, they're doing okay. But our students that are coming in and want to try something are really struggling. So I want you to keep this in mind, that we have made a very successful program, but if we had a lab that we could do more hands-on things, it would be that much better. And there's our little group there. The grant we're going after, we have to make a case that advanced manufacturing is a thing in Oswego County. It clearly is. Okay, that's not a hard thing to prove. And what we're going to do, we're calling it the CMA Lab, the City Manufacturing and Automation Lab. We have very clear outcomes. One, we want to provide us with a very first technology space. Two, we want to provide local courses, skills, and curriculum that our industry partners have said we needed. My background's in curriculum, so when I listen to industry partners, I know which standards and which learning outcomes to go and target. Our goal is to attract a more diverse and engaged population of students. I fear a little bit, and I'll show you. I think that students don't come to P-TECH because we don't have a lab. I think down the road, if we want to open up more slots for P-TECH and open up and make the argument for district superintendents that we need more students going through P-TECH, we have to have this lab to make us competitive with them. The fourth component would just be enhancing the efficacy that we already have. We are also hoping to allow our partners to upskill. Like this lab, we don't want to, I think, what's our assistant super say? We never want the lights off at City,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Our goal would be to allow our partners to come in and use some of our technologies to upskill as well. Amber, our liaison, spent a lot of time going in and drafting what our lab might look like. And I'll go over here real quick. Kind of some visions of what we would do. We'd have some robotics. We would have your traditional, machine, mechanical technologies, things like that. However, here's our, I will share a fact with you. City, we have run out of space. City BOCES, we cannot build. We are at, this space here on the right is dry storage currently. That's it. That's the last space we could use unless we go and find a facility somewhere else, which creates a whole other domino effect of issues. So this is our very last space. It's 84 by 27, so it's a pretty, 84 feet by 27 feet. It's a pretty hefty space, and we would actually be able to make 2 labs out of it. And as we already mentioned, these are the things that our partners have said are areas of improvement, just to break it down, but we lack in tools and machinery. So this is the important stuff. This is what we're thinking about for the lab. One side would be focusing on mechanical technologies, lathes, mills, drills, grinding, bench work, and shaping operations. We finally get to use our tools donated by Novellus. The side that is futuristic and our business administrator really loves, which would put us on the map, is the electromechanical side. We're looking at CNC simulators. We're looking at robotics. I just met with 3 different companies. My favorite one, he showed me how to take the robotics arm, program it, and it can dip a nacho chip and make it's fascinating. Can't wait I would love to have these projects for our children that can make peanut butter and jelly sandwiches with their robots. But the goal is to make them basically have a resume that's padded with certifications. They would leave with a robotics certification. They would leave with a FANUC CNC turning certification, a milling certification, the NCRC, which they already leave with. Our kids' resumes would be padded. It would be fantastic. And finally, one other big thing that is near and dear, we do about 5 to 6 STEM challenges a year with industry partners coming in. We could do more technically sound. I love our little popsicle stick hydraulic presses we do. They're cute and adorable, but we could actually be doing some real STEM challenges, I think, with our partners. Our partners could come down. They were shaking their heads last night when we met them. More workshops, like something that they might not be getting at OCC, but we could host here. And the one that I'm really, really hoping in anticipation, we could do more community service projects. We have teachers that are ready. We were gonna partner with Habitat for Humanity. We don't have a space to do anything with that. And our CT courses, if you've ever been to our campus, they're at max capacity. CTE is the numbers are blowing up, right? So for us to go and partner with construction technology to build the fencing for a home, there's no space for us. So if we got this lab, you would see just the sheer amount of community service projects, realistic, relevant projects coming out. And I think it's just another example of what makes the P-TECH model, so amazing. So I'm going to swing it back over to Brian. The way that we're going about this grant, or going about getting hopefully this lab, is through the Workforce Development Capital Grant put out by ESD. So I'm going to have Brian go over the logistics of the grant.
Yeah, so I mentioned that when I first started talking about how, back in 2015, we were coming off an area where, growth in the trades, was starting to, was coming out of a sort of a slumber. Where things stand right now is that we're at record numbers of interest, right? Students are not enrolling into private colleges, let alone public colleges, at the rates that we've seen prior. And as a result, student interest in trades have gone up. Our community colleges have responded by offering more certificates. You've probably seen more talk and discussion about certificates being offered, one-year certificates, and that comes off of talking points that Micron has even made, saying that they're going to hire folks with one-year certificates into the program. That's something that industry, even in our region, has already agreed to and are looking at doing. So we know that the influx of students that are pursuing trades has resulted in numbers increasing here at City. Last year we saw a record number of students apply. We turned away something close to 50 students into this program last year, right? So that's just showing you that is increasing. As a result, City has as Amanda has mentioned, is sort of hit its limit in terms of what it can do on their campus. We're actually moving. Can you just go back? You got it? I was going to say, can you go back to the slide that shows the map? There's a blue square to the right, you see, right in that green space. There you go. Yep. So that's going to be the location of our academic module. We're actually moving from our current module, which is where the blue dot is. Right there. Yeah. We're going to be moving into a new facility for academic classrooms. We've got 12 academic classrooms. We finally have some offices that are not closets. We have some additional space, everything like that, for the academic portion. But because of NICET requirements and safety and everything else, we're not able to put a lab in that facility. So we're covered for the academic portion, which City is paying a significant amount of money to put in place. When we came to Chris Todd, our superintendent, said, oh, by the way, can we now get also a lab? He said, I support this. He said, but we have to look outside. We have to look outside for opportunities for grants and also look at our partners to see if this could be a contribution effort. Which leads us to the Economic State Development, Workforce Development Capital Grant. This grant sort of speaks to who we are. This grant is for facilities, programs such as ours who want to expand, modernize, grow their program to make sure that more students are successfully completing programs and entering the workforce. It's a 50% match that goes up to a max of $3 million. The ESD Workforce Development Grant has gone through different phases where they award projects out. I believe this currently is the 5th phase of this grant, with the deadline being December 29th. Why we are seeking this is, once again, we feel strongly we can make the case in this grant that the money being funded will immediately be able to impact student performance and also results in students graduating at a higher rate and being able to transition into employment. So where we stand, as Amanda mentioned, is yesterday we met with our industry partners. We have another meeting with industry partners coming up on Thursday. And what we are showing them is obviously what this CMA lab looks like and also what its costs are. Do you want to switch it over to the next phase? There you go. There you go. All right. So we just received our architect, and our financial people went through, and what it looks like is the total project for the renovations plus the purchase of equipment to make the lab be modernized enough to be able to successfully get students to transition into that automation and manufacturing field of changes is $1,486,000. So we're talking about the 50% match that we're looking to seek for support on the tune of $743,000. Now that is something that we, once again, we're exploring multiple different avenues on this, right? We're speaking to our industry partners on this. We're coming to your entity today. We know that there is strong support and belief in this program. And we're excited to be able, to show that these results that we are getting are going to continue to grow as long as we have continued investment and modernization of our facility. So what we really are looking for today is to be able to pitch this project out to you and say that in P-TECH, in the world of P-TECH, really it's just like any other piece where we have to make sure we're modernizing to keep students not only engaged, but also making sure that they have the adequate skills. And this field is dramatically changing in many different ways. Our partners have told us that a facility like this will make a difference in the quality of the student that is going to be able to come out of P-TECH. And that's why we're here, is to ask for support in this project so we can once again provide these students an opportunity that will bring success, not only as an education initiative, but one that we have always said in Oswego County, this is an economic initiative. Our students who graduate, who are earning full-time jobs with outstanding salaries, they're not moving to Onondaga County. Our data shows that they are staying in Oswego County because they were born here and they were raised here and they believe and they enjoy the things that have made this county what it is. And so we expect, even though Micron and other industries will come in and maybe take some of these employees and bring them to the southern end of this county, we expect those same trends of students to stay and raise families here in this community. So we appreciate your attention, and we'll open it up for questions.
David?
So last year, if you'll recall, you and your colleagues authorized an ARPA award for the P-TECH program. There were some technical and logistical issues with the way that the funds were proposed to be used at that time. And I would suggest to you that if you had that support at that date, that at this time, at a minimum, you could consider repurposing or redesigning how those funds would be used in order to help them meet this goal.
Can you refresh our memories on what the amount was?
Just a bit over 400,000. I can't tell you the exact, maybe 435 or something like that.
Yeah, I believe those funds more or less would have helped out with getting a class, an additional class, but then it wasn't enough to put them all the way through. So this is something that's hands-on. This is solid. This will help kids for years, many classes. So it's an extension of what we would have been able to do with the initial. So I'm really kind of glad you didn't get the initial.
Yeah, we believe that before we want to really look at the extra 10, the extra 15, the extra 20 students that we can add on, we want to make sure the original 40 that we are allowed to enter this program, that they get the best shot of success, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is something great.
Could you, Brian, talk a little bit about I know you guys are kind of in a time crunch because this application is due by the end of December and you need to be able to show matching support. And then I also just wanted to state that, I think that this is an excellent project that you guys are doing. We understand that in economic development, workforce development is the biggest challenge right now. Every manufacturer out there that I've talked to said if we could add 5 to 10 people, if we could find 5 to 10 people right now, we'd put them out today. And that is the challenge, is that they can't find the people that they need to put in. And now when you have Micron coming in just over the county border, it's going to create an even bigger challenge. So the more people we can put through locally to help support local and regional businesses, the better. So I'd like to say, that this is something, we should talk after this, but I'd like to bring some sort of a proposal like this to the IDA as well for our meeting later this month.
Okay.
Great.
My daughter's a school counselor, and she believes this is one of the most important programs driving education right now. And you are approaching students in the 8th grade, bringing them out, showing them. I recently spoke with a local contractor, Pack Masonry, and he told me that masons no longer exist. Just hard construction is nearly impossible to fill. And we're going to need construction, we're going to need technical, everything. It's possibly one of the most important investments that this county could make. And I think we need to explore every avenue, every funding source to give as much money as possible to this project.
I appreciate that. I could get actually close to tears with the amount of kids that I saw going through a traditional education setting that would have gotten lost, and this program saves them. It really does. There are students that I'm looking at in our program right now that I'm like, thank goodness this program exists. It gives me chills. But we could do better.
Well, your story hit my heart. Before my dad died, he was head of the building trades and was a bricklayer, mason, stone mason. And we had a young man who was on social services and maybe going down the wrong path, but big and strong. My father was pretty crippled, and he said, Bill, this is a 158 foot long wall. He said, this is an easy run. I'm going to build you the leads, take my wife to lunch, and I'm going to show you how to strike everything. We're going to do this. Bill, Dad helped him. He got into the Masons Union. New York State has hired him. He's repairing buildings all over the state. And again, he's clocking around $200,000 a year. So and he's fabulous. He was a natural. We just didn't know it. And it's remarkable. Very, very important. Thank you for what you're doing.
Well, I suppose I should. Oh, yes, go ahead.
I was wondering if you had any data with you that showed who's utilizing the program, like how many kids from each district. My concern is fair and equitable admission from all the different districts. And what your criteria bases, what it's based on.
Yeah, we can only bring a little USB drive. We could certainly share. We could speak off the cuff though. Amber, actually, can you speak? Amber's our jack of all trades, Jill of all trades, I should say. So Amber can definitely speak on that.
So we currently do have students from all 9 districts in the county. Obviously, there are different students from each of the districts. The larger districts like Fulton and Oswego and Central Square have more students. But even some of the smaller districts do send a few kids in every year. There is a pretty lengthy process to apply to the program, so we do make sure that the students really want to be there. They get letters of recommendation from teachers, their parents send in parts of the application, we do check grades and attendance records and everything like that. But that's all to make sure that we know that these students are very interested in being there. Those are the ones that are most successful. It's hard as an 8th grader to make a decision about, the rest of your life potentially. So we really want to make sure that they know what they're getting themselves into.
But I'll just say that our when you look at demographics in terms of female representation, obviously that is an underrepresented area that we are continuing to focus our efforts on being able to raise quite a bit. The good news in that is that because of the high-profile positions in accounting and manufacturing that women now have and are being extremely successful in, that is really doing a lot of, females are interested in manufacturing. They just need to see themselves and feel confident that they are going to be able to have fair and equity when it goes through a program like this and also into the career. And I will say that the more that we have been able to link our female mentors from our industry partners, the more that we have brought out female representation when we hit the recruitment trail, the more we see that is something that is picking up, right? The other thing I was just going to say is that when you look at students with disabilities, first year college, we're very much representative of a district's sort of statistics when it comes to that data points. So we have a representation of students with disabilities that is sort of on par with what a normal school district would have in a facility like that. Where we are aiming that this project can capitalize on this is that student engagement for a student, any sort of student that comes in that has a background where academics, and we were talking about looking at grades. While certainly there are students that get into this program who are top-notch math and science, that certainly that's the case. We have students who, they may get a C in math, they may get a B in math, but I'm going to tell you something. They get behind a machine, or you give them a wrench, or you give them an engine, right? And they're going to accept it, because it's all about an education student engagement. And if you can get a student engaged, then that is your link. That's your link to that student's success. So that is why, building paper towers can only go so far. So that is a reason why, what I mean? And we know that when we start putting them at OCC right now and getting them in front of machines, then all of a sudden they're taking off and doing well. We need to start that earlier, right? We need to start that earlier. So all students that come in have a fair shot of being able to move through the program. But yeah, certainly we have all the data. As a New York State grant-funded program, it's pretty extensive of what they require. So I absolutely can have Amber, share that with you.
Okay, that'd be appreciated.
What's your relationship with the Workforce Development Board?
Yeah.
And where do you see it going with it?
Yeah, absolutely. So
with Rachel right here.
Yeah. So Brian actually sits on our board, and also Chris Todd, superintendent of OCs, is also on the board. We actually hear about PTech all the time because we've got Constellation, Novelis, Huhtamaki, EJ. I think those are the four manufacturers that also sit on our board. But what we're looking at too is our staff actually participated in one of the STEM challenges last week. They went to Central Square High School. Loved that. But we're looking to partner more on those moving forward. And we're also looking at different ways with the investment that the county is hopefully making in our new department, getting into the schools more. I've actually had meetings with Fulton City School District has a 6th grade career counselor that goes around to all 4 elementary schools and works with the kids in that direction. So how can we partner with that? Fulton City School District also has a STEM counselor for all the grades. So that is another avenue that we're looking to partner, and how can that be replicated across the county as well, with really the culmination in 9th grade of getting into this program, and where that goes from there, whether it's OCC right into manufacturing, if there's other credentials that then pair up with CCC's AMI, how that all feeds together. But we all know that manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, STEM in general is just the way of economic development, and the majority of it in this area right now.
That's good to hear. I think that relationship is important, so we don't have these individual towers out there.
Yeah. Brian and I joke that we have a very similar schedule because all these committees, we probably see each other 2-3 times a week. So that's how closely we're working together, not only with PTech, but with all the CTE programs for the high school and the adult levels. With both.
It's pretty remarkable too, and we're starting a STEM Connection series that focuses on going into middle schools because we have to go backwards to recruit, right? So we have 4 districts signed on to do industry partner related STEM challenges. So the PTech challenges that we get, we're actually taking them right to districts. It's like a little library. And it got a little bigger faster than I anticipated. And Rachel's team has been great. They're able, like I can't go out and do all these STEM if I would love to. I love middle school energy. But they had 2 young helpers come out and they're making that relationship between STEM and local industry. So it's for teachers, it's like, oh, duh, that makes way more sense. Math and science are more. So you'll see some things with STEM, I think, in Oswego County growing too. So we're excited about that.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you for coming. It's great to hear about this. I've been a proponent of it right since the beginning. We, was working with John Shalmadine and Stu Amell when we started the first anti-poverty task force, and it was exciting then, and it's even more exciting now. I have a bunch of questions actually, so I'm going to kind of just wrap them up a little at a time, and I think it'll help everybody as well to understand more about it. So at the end of the program, the kids are actually taking ACT evaluations, the Work Ready Communities Project. Are they still doing that?
They are doing that in the middle of the program.
In the middle of the program.
We actually test them in 11th grade, and I believe our entire 11th grade cohort got their certification.
Yeah, knocked it out of the park. Yeah, walking around going, I'm platinum.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so to backtrack, the original work on this was between city, CCE, or the organization that was between CCC and city, which has now sort of disappeared, I guess. But the whole concept of being the first, we had the opportunity to be the first work-ready community in New York State. The IDA, I think, put in about $16,000 as a grant to help start that, but we still haven't reached quite the finish line. So I heard you say that there's 23 industry partners now, and if they would put this, up on the wall that we're part of this work-ready community, we need to finish that off wherever it's sitting now. I know it's somewhere at city now, and I think we need to focus on that concept because I think part of the way we promote PTech and to grow PTech is to have a way to promote that, hey, Oswego County is leading the way here in upstate New York, and we are the first work-ready community, first work-ready county in New York State. So when they put that map up and you see our community in blue, we're the only one, and that we're joined at the hip with this kind of work with city is really exciting to me. What the ACT evaluations that the kids are taking provide them with, when the kids graduate platinum with that. That is a tool. That's like a plaque they can take. They don't need to go further than that sometimes. I mean, they often probably do, but having that evaluation shows where they're strong. It gives a profile for them of what kind of work they're going to be good at. So I want to promote both things. I think we should be promoting PTech, but also promoting these evaluations, because when businesses realize that they can design an evaluation specific to their own business that says this is because the profile of a social studies teacher or a social worker or a nurse is different than a kid that's going to be hands-on, getting his hands dirty with a lathe.
Yeah.
I just think that the more that we push that, the better it's going to be. And I really want to see us be the first work-ready county in New York State, because other counties are going to want to follow us after that. And they're going to say, wow, Oswego County was the first one.
So,
I see.
so can I just step in?
Yeah.
No. First off, you were my point, and when I hit the road here, I'm going to have to bring you along because our passion is very similar in this area. So, ironically, I just actually reached out to Rachel, and we have a meeting on board to talk about that very issue right there. So P-TECH was a tester for students. CCC overran the grant, and that included the workforce community and everything like that. City inherited it, and then when I took on my new role, it was just a couple of weeks ago, said it's time to get this thing resurrected. So I'm going to actually be, your speech that you gave right there is going to be, I was just laughing because I was like, I'm going to write down. But no, that is deep. We have such...
Yeah, it's on tape.
Okay, good. Yeah. We have such a great opportunity, not only to be the first, and obviously that's important, but I find the ACT WorkKeys NCRC certificate to be an extreme value in speaking on behalf of our students to industry. I mean, industry brought it to this county. They're the ones who said, we need this in our county.
They came out of Hudumaki and
Exactly.
and Novellis's work with the task force and with the workforce development board.
So I do look forward to being able to, we are so close. I think we were like 15 spots away of getting that designation. So we're going to carry the ball across the goal line.
Well, and I guess I think it's a great tool to also advertise. To combine it with what's happening with P-TECH. I think it puts everything over the top.
Yep.
And I'm going to say too, we are pushing, we have a PR team at City. We are now doing a monthly newsletter. We should definitely get you all in on a newsletter. But where it needs to go is to be cross-posted on social media. The things that we're doing, you mentioned like highlighting our relationship with industry partner. At the end of our newsletter, we have a multimedia spotlight on an industry partner every month. We highlight the STEM challenges. It's done very carefully, but our audience is only those that are signed up or invested in P-TECH or our families, and we're asking you to share that out. So from like a PR to a PR group, that would be also crucial, I think, as well.
I think legislators can help you to talk to their own businesses and their communities about all of this as well. Yeah. So what? Past and present, how many students have come through since 2017? It's not a huge number, but it's 30 or 40 a year.
Around 300.
The first year was 50, I think, right?
Yeah, so the first year was actually 60. We were told we could admit 50, and we kind of went over a little bit.
Good.
But since then, it was 50 for a few years, and then COVID and some other stuff, so the numbers were a little lower for a while, and then the last few years it's been 40 each year.
Okay.
At insistence of the superintendent.
So what's the look forward? I mean, who's in right now? Is that 40
It was 41 this year that we admitted.
So how do you see that being able to grow with the investment in the lab?
Yeah.
Is there pressure at the top of the different school districts to not help you or to promote you?
Do you mind if I speak on that real quick?
I mean,
No, absolutely.
Maybe you don't want to say that on film.
You're principal now, so you
Maybe
take
I
over.
should have, maybe, I'm not hearing that.
No, be careful, but I mean, these were things that we've thought about because I mean, there are certain incentives that are created by the state to keep kids in the different districts as opposed to being at City. And I want to see some of those be broken so that we can continue to do more things like P-TECH or even grow the P-TECH program into the individual schools. Why does it have to be just at BOCES?
Right.
When if this is really a future model?
Well, and that's, speaking of which, we are definitely going to be the future model, especially with the new graduation requirements changing from the Blue Ribbon Commission. CTE, ability to do work-based learning hours are all going to be mandated for all public schools. We are going to be the model that many schools are going to have to follow. So I think our name recognition is going to get even bigger. But going back to the lab and how that can help grow numbers, and this is not we can't sign on the line that this is going to happen. But transportation's an issue. Sandy Creek going up to OCC, Glassguy, Hannibal, that is a consideration that families and superintendents have to make. It's a hefty cost. This lab, if we get the materials and machinery that we want, make us pretty competitive with OCC in terms of equipment and facilities. So the goal is to be able to say, possibly down the road, again, this is not a, we could have some more OCC classes taught at City because we have the lab space available. We have an adjunct professor already. So there's one component that we could say, possibly, you're not going to have to drive all the way down, right? Two, I think with our recruitment strategy, and we just had a meeting with PR, we're going to see a pretty record number of applicants. It's going to be hard for families or districts to continue to turn down sending students with the amount of exposure that we're getting to families. We have a new PR kind of marketing trend. So I think you have to have the structure in place. If you build it, they will come type of model. So I think that will help in the long run of getting more numbers through.
Yeah, I'll just quickly add, our superintendents and our districts have been fully supportive of this program since 2015. While certainly we would, we would like to see as many students enter the program as possible. We recognize that their support right now is with 40 students, and they'll continue to, support that grounds. What I would say is I would like to get to the point where we can get, closer to 100% graduation from college to be able to show them, as well as, students with non-traditional backgrounds, to increase those numbers as well, to show that this program is not only of value for workforce development, but also from a strictly education standpoint as well. That, we found a model, that can take a student from any background and be able to give them the right resources to be successful to move through. So,
but even if a kid doesn't make it through the final year of the college,
sure,
if he has an 11th grade aced that certificate,
yeah,
and has some specific or some other specific certificate through the advanced manufacturing program or whatever, I mean, he's going to be able to walk into a great job.
100%. Right, and that's something that we see. So this grant for PTAC strictly is focused on completion of college. And when I say strictly, I mean that is built into the grant, right? So for us, we would never go around and say, hey, come to PTAC and you can leave with a certificate without your degree and everything like that. However, across the state, everything has been shifting dramatically to certificates, right? I mean, it's just something that we're seeing across in every community college as they face, lots of different changes in terms of their the populations that are going, into those opportunities. So as a program, we have dramatically shifted our approach, and I will say that this kind of brings us back quickly with Micron. So OCC has offered a new pathway that is electromechanical that was built alongside with Micron for careers in Micron. That program is a 2-year degree. However, they offer a 1-year certificate. We adopted the 1-year certificate, so every student that comes into PTEC now, at the very least, is going to have the 1-year certificate by the time they graduate high school. They will move on to the goal is then to move on to their associates. But if they, for some reason, did not finish as a student in college, they already have the certificate in electromechanical, which is already identified, once again, by OCC, credentialed by OCC, and identified by Micron as being an opportunity for employment, right? So we are making changes and adapting to those changes to allow students who come in from any experience, who graduate at any point, whether it be high school or college, to be able to have an opportunity for success.
Now, are you limited to 40 by the school?
Yeah, so the school districts provide us the amount of students that we can bring into the program per year. So
you said you had to let 50 of them not be accepted this year.
So
the schools were giving you more than you could take?
That is correct. So we go out and we do our recruitment to all 9 school districts. The districts allow us to come in, speak to students, speak to parents, and then students are able to apply based on their interest into the program. The district doesn't have a cap per district of how many kids can apply. We just take any student can apply from any district to the program. And then from there, we go through the process to select the 40 that are going to be entering the program in the summer following their 8th grade year.
Now, why 40, not 50?
So the districts have identified that 40 was the number in terms of fiscally that they would be able to commit to keep the program functioning at the way that it was without reducing their funds.
So you're still back to the school districts are capping you at 40.
Yeah. So once again, the district makes a decision of how many students we can accept in.
All the districts.
All the districts together. That's a district. Yeah. All the districts make that decision as a group. Yep.
Brian, that's based on the funding that they agreed together to provide for the program. It's not based on 40 kids. It costs this much money, and this is how much we can give you. That equals 40 kids. Is that the
Yes. Yep.
Because they're losing money because they're not getting it.
No.
So go ahead.
They are getting it.
Yeah.
They're just going to share it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what it is.
so all of the money that they pay the city for the students to come to us is aidable.
Okay.
So it's not like they're losing all of that money of the
Okay.
students who don't go there. And all these students are still registered in their home districts. They still utilize transportation and, other services there, so.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So, and I have a whole bunch more questions, but let's do it another time. I won't take up anybody else's time. I want to make sure that I'm so pleased that you're actually moving forward with this and pushing on to become the first work-ready county in New York State. I think that's really important. I think it's going to help us with a lot of other things. Can you send us the PPT and then put at least put the committee, the Economic Development Committee, on your newsletter list?
Absolutely.
At least for an email version, or it could be distributed to Raven. And just so for the sake of the legislators know, though, that we do, so the portion of our taxes, that is the community college line, all the kids from Oswego County that go through this program, we are a portion, so that the county taxes are supporting a piece of this project. Just for the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And anybody else? Brian?
Brian and I have talked several times. Okay, when this first came forward to us, about the PTEC for the ARPA funds, that's when I, got involved a little bit with, and I was supportive of it right from the get-go. Okay? And I'm still supportive of it, and I think it's a great idea. I run into the students, and you hear students talking about, well, there's no reason for me to go to school anymore. They're not teaching me anything that I can use, And for this type of thing, and what you're talking about, having a lab where they can go further is very, very important. And I did ask a question, and I'll talk to you later, Brian, about it, because I asked a question earlier, called PTEC and asked a question about why they returned the money. I kind of knew why, but I wanted to know from the horse's mouth, because I talked to a few people out there. So I think that it's something that the county should get behind this a lot more than they got behind a water park and, a golf course, okay? This is something that is the future. If you remember, and I know, Tim, you weren't here, but we had a group come in here that Kevin Gardner's, I think it was his son, was in the city.
Joe teaches for us. His son
Okay.
is our social studies
Okay,
teacher.
he was in here, and out of that group of 10 that were in here, only one of them said that they were going to stay in Oswego County. Okay, and that was sad. But this type of thing, we've got to be able to bring them back in. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask is, I know you said you met with Micron.
Yeah.
Did they voice any opinion about pledging any financial support to the program for the future? Because it's got to get where the school districts at some point in time have got to say, well, 40 isn't enough, and what is our number gonna be, but it's all tuition, and that's what it all, boils down to.
Yeah.
But I think, anybody that doesn't support this on the legislature should probably walk away and close the door behind them.
That's fair. So to answer your question about Micron, right now there's actually two things going on. We have our steering committee, our education steering committee from the Oswego County Micron group that has met with Micron to talk about the initiatives and goals from the pre-K. So that goes pre-K all the way up to really 16th to college. Out of that, Micron is currently through their education foundation. Well, it's the Micron Foundation, but they have committed funds for school districts for our K through 12 school districts to use to promote STEM in elementary and middle school. So you might have heard of things like Chip Camp and things like that, right? That you're hearing a lot about this in Onondaga County. So we have a task force that has already met to talk about what we are going to use with not only the funds from Micron, but also through city COSERs to be able to support programs that can be exposed to as many students as possible. So all students in elementary, no matter if you're in Sandy Creek or Hannibal or in Fulton, that all students are going to be able to experience some STEM activities and experiences in elementary, follow up that with middle school, that all students are able to participate in those things. The idea is that you are getting kids excited and you're initiating some fire, so when these pathways do start showing up in 8th grade and 9th grade and 10th grade, that they have already a little bit of background and interest to be able to say, this is something that I think I would like. This is something that I feel like I would be able to pursue. So we're working with Micron right now on being able to supply some programs that will do that, that all students in Oswego County will be able to be exposed to and benefit from. And then I think when we met with Micron the other day as well to talk about, they are really in a place where right now is that they understand who we are, they are excited about what we are doing and the success that we're having, and it's sort of stay tuned is sort of the message, right? Like as things are starting to develop and grow, that, there'll be some future opportunities for collaboration and obviously, we hope that they find value in what they're seeing with the students that we're producing to be able to transition into their program, to be able to commit, further to support that in other means, in other ways. So, yep.
I accidentally bumped into the Micron representative when they were unveiling their electromechanical lab, and he was able to come down. They were so impressed with the history of the program. They'd already heard of our program. Then he came down to listen to our pitch that he left, and we could write a letter of support right now for this program. So minimally right now, he's moving that up the chain to get a letter for us. That's how much, it's hard to argue the data. Financially, obviously right now, it's just, too little, too late at this point for this round of the grant. But I think in a couple of years down the road, it's going to, I said, reminder, our students are at OCC. Half of our population is there today. We're not, we're in both counties. So don't forget us.
David?
So just to follow on the Micron tie to this, tomorrow afternoon we have the Micron Community Engagement Task Force, their consultants for Fourth Economy. We have a meeting from 4 to 5:30 at the Riverside Room at Steamers for elected officials. And the main purpose of that meeting is for the leaders in Oswego County to share with Micron what's important to us and how do we want to engage with them and how can they help us. So anyone that's there tomorrow that's passionate about this, that's a perfect opportunity to bring that up. And then also, Brian, you said the grant is due before the end of the year?
Yeah, so the grant is due on the 29th of December for this phase, which is our goal, is to be able to get that in.
In the application, do you have to identify committed local match?
Yeah, so what we would be looking for would be a written agreement of a match that they would be able to provide. There wouldn't need to be a check necessarily handed over, but there would need to have a commitment that we could show on our budget when we submit the application that shows that X, Y, and Z would be, committed through, this entity.
There's a budget worksheet where I'm hoping that it it's filled with industry partners, and there's like small, like just would be a powerful, more preference is given for the grant awarding if you have industry partner support. So it's a 50-50 match, but you get almost like bonus points for industry partner support. So there's preference given when you have, I mean, the whole point is to show your relationship with industry. What better way to show your relationship than through money?
So do you think that if Oswego County was to repurpose or recommit the original funds, that would incite your industry partners to step up?
I think that, I think that our industry partners are going to commit, to this project. I think that the county's support of this would once again back up their belief, that this is a county-wide effort when it comes to the success of students moving forward and being able to transition into our manufacturing industry. So yes, I do believe that would be well received.
Repurposing, the amount it's $434,400 is what that we have already committed to this type of a thing. And so I see this moving forward very strongly in the legislature, but we need to know where your other money's coming and how close you are to that match that you need.
Yeah.
And my last final thing I like to say is you're talking about students. Of course, I have to mention that my grandson is part of P-TECH, but in 8th grade, he had 15 referrals.
Ooh.
If it wasn't for P-TECH, he would never have made it through high school. But he absolutely loves P-TECH. So, thank you.
And can I just say that I sat down and did an interview, and I remember bringing up certain things to students to say, hey, I noticed, you're struggling in this, or I noticed this was, can you walk me through it? Because numbers can only give you half the story, right? And I will say that students, when they look and whether it be behavior referrals or whether it be academic grades, they will say to us in these interviews, I want this. So this is something that speaks to me. This is who I am. This is what I do when I go home and I go into my garage and nobody bothers me for that 2 hours and I'm sitting there working on an engine by myself. This is what I want, right? And that is why we see a transition in student that, that amounts to success. So, yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions, comments, excitement? We definitely will be hearing from us. Jim, you want to make any comments?
Yes. Excuse me. You should also mention, besides the super modified, that your grandfather started out racing snowmobiles.
Because their old antique super modified was a match show, and they're big proponents of the snowmobile show, but
Thank you so very much for coming, giving us this information, and trust me, it will be affiliated, and our budget votes are coming up next week.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go visit my mom.
Okay, next up is Rachel.
Before we move on to reporting department, can we go back and do a motion to approve the bid for the wrapping?
I'll make that motion. I just had written that down to come back to.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have a motion to accept the bid? Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Got it. Thank you, Raven, for keeping us on track. Okay.
You gotta ask if anybody's opposed, though.
Oh, well, is anybody opposed? No. I'm hearing excitement here. Okay. Let's go into reporting department. Paul? You're
expecting me to follow that? Really? That's what I'm gonna be given?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, maybe what I should do is liven the group up a little and say that we have finished the Ag District review, and I'm very happy to report that all of the properties in southern Oswego County can now no longer be developed for the next 8 years.
Just trying to.
Just trying to do that. What do you doing?
It's a school.
Yeah.
So
please don't do that.
So we have finished, basically finished our job,
And at this point, we have turned everything over to Betsy, because according to law and policy and procedure, the county has to actually be the one to submit all of the information to review the ag district. So a little bit of information, just real quickly. Oswego County has one agricultural district. It is agricultural district number 11. There were apparently, long before me, other districts that when they got reviewed were all rolled into, into one. So there is one agricultural district. The purpose of the agricultural district is to protect, the main purpose is to protect farming in the communities, assuming that the people who are doing the farming are doing best practices. So if somebody's doing something that's way out there, it probably is not going to be protected. One of the examples we like to use is you might have a farmer who the only time that he can chop corn is at 2 o'clock in the morning, and he has the equipment and the lights to do that. In a normal circumstance, there probably would be a noise ordinance violation in the community. However, because that person is doing best practices, there is no noise violation, and they are allowed to do that. So the review went pretty good. It was some of the data that we came up with towards the end is what actually caused us some issues. So there are 1,925 tax parcels. 32 were added during this enrollment, and only 3 parcels were removed. So you can add a parcel into the ag district during the annual enrollment period. However, you can only remove a parcel during the 8-year review. And this was the full 8-year review. So during that review, only 3 people chose to remove their parcels. The acreage has increased, which is a good sign. We increased our acreage from 90,492 to 97,446. So we do have an increase in the number of acres that are being used for ag and ag-related purposes. This review took us longer than we had anticipated. And I don't want to get into a lot of details because we could be here for a long time. But basically, during the final preparation of the report, we discovered some discrepancies in the database. And I credit our ag agent, Josh, who was the one that discovered those discrepancies. Josh and Corey worked very, very hard with New York State Department of Ag and Markets, and Ag and Markets actually backfilled to Oswego County some of the parcels that were missing from the database. We have some ideas on how that happened, but Ag and Markets was very good to Oswego County and took a lot of time to backfill that information, which Corey has now re-entered. So the final report is done. There are some recommendations in it. Betsy has everything that needs to be sent in. Because it was the 8-year review, there are actually 2 separate pieces that have to be sent in together. So one is the regular annual admission that people could add in, and then there's the full 8-year review that is going to do the additions that people have asked and those 3 parcels that people have asked to remove. So we're finished at this point. It is in Betsy's hands, and of course I'm happy to help Betsy at any time she knows that.
Anybody have any questions about the ag 8-year review?
And I would like to make one more comment, and I'm not being facetious, nor am I picking on you, but you know, I might not have chosen my words very carefully last time. So I went back and called the state and said, you know, I need to know X, Y, and Z. And one of the things that they said to me, which was very interesting, because the ag district will not prevent somebody from selling their property for development. All right, it will not. And the person on the other end, who he's a great guy, he gets a little eccentric every now and then, said to me, I have the best example I could ever give you. And I said, what is that? He said, are you familiar with Del Lago? And I said, yes, of course, everybody is. He said, when the shovel hit the ground to put Del Lago in, it was in the ag district.
Yeah.
So They worked through the process to remove it, but it did not prohibit that from happening. Okay? So if I can help anybody, if you have any questions, please let me know. You know where you can find me.
So Paul can build a casino on his farm?
There you go.
Just gamble with the farm anyway.
Win, lose, and draw.
That's right.
Yes, sir.
What effect are the solar farms having on the agriculture?
We are on camera, so I will carefully choose my words. The problem with solar farms right now is what makes a great location for a solar farm is a disaster for agriculture. If you took a solar farm and put it on a cliff that couldn't be farmed very easily, it wouldn't be a problem. But the solar farms are consuming beautiful, flat farmland. And it's a problem. And as a matter of fact, it's such a problem that I actually went to a presentation by Commissioner Ball, Commissioner of Agriculture, who said that Ag and Markets is really concerned about this and they're looking at it. I'm not anti-solar. I just think there's a better place to put that.
That's why I asked the question, Paul.
Yeah.
Because I driving around the county, and I'm sure, Noel is too, that you see them in places that are, this is farmland. This is, you could have this as a hayfield, you could have this as anything. But to put in solar farms, it's killing, and I have people that are in my, that I know that have land and they've been offered to take it over, the solar, and they're doing it. There's one out on Maple Ave that they're talking about putting in out there, and I'm telling you, it's, and the people see it, they're going to get money, and I'm sorry, some way, shape, or form, this county has got to take a stand and say, this is the amount that we will allow. I know why they're doing it, because they got land there that, we've been told, well, they're only bringing in $200 in tax money. Now they're going to bring in a lot. Well, I'm sorry. That a lot hurts the rest of it, okay? Because I've seen the land on Maple Ave. That used to be beautiful pasture land, used to be cornfields, used to be everything. Now it's going to be a solar farm.
So there are some bright spots. And Dave Turner and I actually worked on some of this way back. When solar first came into Oswego County, nobody was worried about end of life. And, one of the big problems we had was when you get to 20 years or 25 years and the equipment is no longer good, who's responsible to decommission that and remove it? And very early on, when Dave and I were working on some of this stuff, you'd get to end of life, they would just pack up, disconnect the wires, and go home. Now the farmer's left with, this field of what amounts to almost hazardous waste.
It is.
And what do they do with it, Now that's all changed because there's decommissioning that has to be put in and everything. And the only other thing that is working to the advantage, because it's very hard to tell a farmer who's not making any money that please don't do this with your land when he's going to get a regular payment, The bright spot is what we're seeing is some of the larger places are committing a small area to solar, which gives them an income that they can then use to do farming other places on their land. But these large-scale things that we're seeing are not even in that category.
Go down Route 6 off of Emery Street, Emery Road there. That was all up to the left there. That was all pasture land and hay fields.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, right now you look over there and all you see is the blue, blue wave.
Yeah,
and
we have a spot.
And I know that I'm pretty sure I know who owned it, but it's not right.
We have a spot in the town of Richland that, number one, perfectly flat. It was farmland forever and ever, always good. But every square foot of soil in the United States has been mapped. We know what the soils are. And not only this is this a flat area, but the soils are beautiful. I mean, they're just beautiful soils. And they're on both sides of the road now. They're going great guns, but maybe on both sides of the road. And I have trouble going that way to work in the morning. You know, I mean, I understand it's progress. I get it, but we're losing good farmland. So
They need to build another nuke.
We do. Well, Austin, you may know, I believe a certain size, 3.5 megawatt or whatever, it's, you can't stop it.
If it's well, 5 megawatts and less is community solar. If you're above it, then there's processes to sort of go around the local process because the state is pushing these so hard, prioritizing them. On the larger side, the larger projects. So
Our state legislation.
You know, there's some other things that
really is.
Yeah, I will say that the town of Richland and Pulaski schools they're one of the few communities in Oswego County that opted out of the state program to allow for 15 years no tax, which then kind of gives the leverage back to the communities to say, well, if you want to do a project here, you have to work with us because they don't have that to fall back on to say, well, if you don't work with us, we'll just go to the state and get 15 years no tax. So, I mean, I don't know if there's still abilities for communities to continue to opt out of that, but that's one of the ways that they can do that. And also, just talking about this, the communities have the ability to rewrite their laws related to solar and do that. I mean, a lot of them are doing moratoriums right now to look into it, but to develop better local laws about it. And then I would say look at what some of the communities around the state have done and best practices related to solar projects. And I also want to state that the IDA is also currently looking at redeveloping our solar policy. We enacted it in April of 2020. And since then, we're a little over 3 years away. That there's been a lot that's kind of happened in terms of solar development that's happened in the county and around the state. And we know more about it now. And we're looking to enact some of these as well to make sure that our policies are reflecting what the situation on the ground is.
we're working with the town of Mexico right now that is seeking grant funding to do a comprehensive ag plan just for the town. And their goal is to actually try to map out areas where they would discourage solar. And so that we just started this. I mean, we're probably a month into it. So we've got a little ways to go. But my hope is that that becomes a blueprint for other communities. Once we figure out exactly how that's going to work and how it's going to be received by the state, then we can use that.
One more reason for communities to consider comprehensive planning, because you could actually develop that in your comprehensive planning and zoning where you would be accepting of solar, if you are.
One of the many benefits of the ag district is it's one of the triggers for review by the county of development projects. So anything within 500 feet of an ag district has to be sent to our planning team for review. But without good local code and plans to prohibit undesirable development, there's nothing that the county team can do. So they have to send it to us for comment, but if there's nothing to back it up, we just say, oh, okay, thanks for letting us know.
Yeah.
There's no way for us to try to help enforce a rule that doesn't exist, right?
Right. Well, that's nice because with the county, at least we have a stable of 500 feet, no matter where you are in the county. It's not a town rule, it's a county rule.
State rule.
Guaranteed a state rule,
Yeah.
so that we'd be able to get all that information.
Okay,
Any other questions?
beautiful, thank you. If anybody has
Thank
any
you,
questions,
Paul.
you can always call me. I'm sorry I can't stay, I have a noon meeting, so I've got to go get ready for that. So.
Gee, you sure you can't?
If you have questions for me, I'll call somebody else and get them to cover it.
There you go. Dan? Motion and tourism?
The eclipse is coming up April 8th. We are starting to work with emergency management for the amount of people that may attend. Not just yet.
I know.
We are just attend this event. It could be similar to this, the Saturday Night Fest, with the totality of 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So it's good that emergency management is starting to realize the amount of people that can be affected in this and come to see the totality of the eclipse. We just purchased a new van, which, as Mr. Mitchell said, it was nice to drive this weekend to his conference, that it didn't start shaking over 65 miles per hour. We plan on getting that wrapped. hopefully by early January. And the website that's coming out December 18th, we are just about 90% done, and we're on a daily basis. And I had Raven bring this up. This is going to be the video that will play on the main page as you enter the website.
Welcome to Oswego County. Nestled in the heart this place was restricted by a destination that excites the senses, and where each season takes its whether you long for sun-kissed skiing or lake effect snow, or fall sensing of discover 900 square miles of pristine landscapes, dozens of lakes, countless trails. Whether kayaking in Oswego Canal or casting line on legend sand at 3 racetracks, the history of how to shape this country. Daring stories of the Underground Railroad, depth of maritime heritage, whether great adventure or quiet relaxation. Let the sounds of a good time contrast peaceful spots. Oswego County boasts of rich tapestry of experiences and wit. Celebrate the arts. Music. Culture.
Minus the sound.
Welcome to Lake Ontario. Welcome to Oneida Bay. And welcome to everything in between. Discover more at visitoswegocounty.com.
So if you wanted to head over to YouTube, you can get that on.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, don't worry about it.
Nice.
That'll be the main background, the main page that'll play over and over the website. Like I said, we are about 90% there. Hopefully by December 18th, we'll be fully out with that.
Okay.
All right. Pull it up on a phone.
That video you can. The website will now have to be adaptable with tablets and cell phones. As you know, our old website that was built in 2010 is not but that, if you go to YouTube, type in Oswego County Four Seasons, you can watch that video without the choppy sound, shall I say.
Well, I just want to say, Dan, that's better than any video I ever did, so great job.
Well, we had some.
Agreed.
We had some money
Nobody asked
over. Yeah, it's something. We had some money left over matching funds with our TOCO. That's how we got that done. We figured with the new website coming out, we had locked down, got some extra. Took a gentleman 2 days, different parts of the county. What we tried to accomplish was not, bring everything in within inside the county for people to visit, us. So, well,
I was just wondering who did that.
a gentleman in Austin up in, do you remember his last name? Dave?
I don't.
Demont.
Is it Demont?
Demont?
Yeah.
He's done for us too. That's good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yes, it's nice because you didn't just take cities, you took everything, the rural and everything, and that was nice.
Yeah. It's also what we're trying to, talking about getting the van wrapped. Our team has rejected 3 times so far what they've done because of colors and also taking in the entire county, not just one area. So
yeah,
it's important.
I tried to convince them to put the dead deer on the front,
Okay, anybody have any other questions? Damn, nice. Look forward to seeing that whole website. Very, very excited about that. Okay, next up, planning and community development.
Just a couple quick ones. We are moving forward with the comprehensive plan update for the county. Part of that, obviously, realizing the county is made up of lots of municipalities. So we are currently outreaching to a number of towns planning boards, village leadership, to get understandings from them on where they stand. do they actively want to be part of it? Do they need their own planning? And so we are kind of starting to put it together with help of the planning office. Also, last month we rolled out the new 239 review law, and that's given us an opportunity to better communicate with some of the towns and villages planning boards as well. So we're really hoping to start that partnership feel with some of the towns. So,
Have you met with any of them yet?
we've had a number of phone calls, and we have a meeting, shared services meeting coming up at the end of the Micron meeting this week. So we'll plan on catching up with that. My understanding is that county administrator is also looking to have a additional meeting with that group before the end of this year. So we're going to have them all hopefully here on site.
Austin and I met recently with West Monroe, Constantia, Cleveland, and the village of Central Square. And they've hired a consultant through Tug Hill Commission, and they're working jointly on some kind of planning document. We don't know if it's going to be a comprehensive plan or just some like Route 49 corridor plan, but it was good to see, the four communities all working together to try to do something that was beneficial to all of them.
It's nice for the shared services to put your all mind together as a team.
And we are working to get that information out to those county villages as well.
Greg?
Tim?
Yes, sir.
You know what 239 plans, what happened what's happening in Fulton, where the leafy, whatever they call it, okay? The planning board in Fulton, 2 members of the planning board voted no on allowing them to do what they were doing. They had to go through to the county council. But they said that it does not go along with a comprehensive plan that's in the city, and that's why they voted no on it. And I'm just wondering, what do you see as that being any grounds for members of the common council to say no to it? I know that you guys did an extensive, tried to find everything you could to say no to it, but because of the way the city has.
Well, it's partly the city, it's also part of the state we live in. One of the reviews that the 239 folks here in our county can do is really just reviewing the rules that are already out there. And so we can make recommendations based on our, opinion and how it affects the county-wide and what we've seen other places. But ultimately, it comes down to the local oversight. And there were some recommendations, I believe, that were put forward to the planning board. I think each counselor has to make the decision on what they want their community to look like, but there is also the legal responsibility to go along with what you've got on the books. And so we did make some recommendations on potential changes or things that we've seen in other communities that they could look to do. But I guess I can't answer how the counselors would vote on that.
Well, I mean, they'll vote with, along with, the thing that bothers me about the comprehensive plan is a statement that was made to me by a person who was running for mayor of the city of Fulton. She said, well, that comprehensive plan, that's nothing. That's just an idea. It doesn't hold any weight, will not do anything, stop anything from happening. Which, I'm glad that person did not get elected. But I agree with the comprehensive plan in Fulton. I agree we should have a comprehensive plan here. And
especially on the city level, the zoning piece of it is so important.
And I pushed that 5 years ago.
A plan without that added backbone is sometimes just an idea.
So, well, thank you very much.
You bet.
For clarification, and under New York state law, the comprehensive plan is the foundation for your local code. So that person had it upside down.
She had a lot of things upside down.
Okay, moving right along. Operation Oswego County update.
Sure. So I'm just I didn't know we would have this many people here today, so we take those and pass those around. One of the things I wanted to present on is that we have redeveloped a new monthly newsletter, which has information about some of the highlights, the highlights that happened over the past month, as well as on the back it also has some projects that were supported and financed through both Operation Oswego County and the IDA. So what we're looking to do going forward is this is a monthly newsletter that's going to go out to all of the legislators. It's going to go out to all of our board members, as well as the IDA and other key stakeholders. And then we're also developing we're working on the final touches. It'll be released in January of a new quarterly economic development activity report, which is going to have a lot of the same information it used to have, plus new information. So we've always been doing sort of a quarterly job creation and retention report. We have quarterly board meetings at Operation Oswego County, so we said, how about we get this on a schedule that works for our board as well as some of the other documents we do. But in the meantime, we had heard some, I had heard some, and I won't say who from who, some criticisms that the previous monthly document we put together was a little dense, a little hard to get through and kind of figure out, that if you didn't have a PhD in economic development, it may have a lot of value to you. So we kind of took that and said, let's create a new document on a monthly basis that has great information you need to have, and then we'll also continue to do a quarterly document that has the other information that you need to have. So it's the best of both worlds. So that was the first thing I wanted to really present on, and this does have on the back of it, by the numbers in terms of projects we've been involved in. So for the period of, just for the October, the projects we were invested into, and then also for the year to date, it kind of shows that. And then we had a little, we did a little story to the end of it called The Final Word. Our plan is to have different staff members for different monthly ones do a different thing that's important to them. So it could be related to marketing, it could be related to financing, it could be related to, micro enterprise or things. So we'll have some cool things that'll be in here, and just kind of get everyone to know the staff a little bit better as well. It's not just, I know I'm sort of face, but I'd like everyone to kind of understand everybody else that's there as well. So more to come on that. Other thing I wanted to announce is we actually just went live yesterday. There'll be more in social media and other things, that we have a job opening at Operation Oswego County for our marketing communications manager, a position we hope to fill very early in January. So that's another thing to be looking out for. Want to let you know also that the Village of Phoenix submitted earlier in November their New York Forward project. So there's 16 projects submitted to the state for a total of $6.25 million in funds. The state will support $4.5 million, but we wanted to have a little bit more just in case some of the projects fall through. You have some backup projects. We were allowed to do up to $8 million, but we wanted to make sure that there was some local control over the projects that were funded. If you give them $8 million, then you're having a lot of range and variability which projects could get done. So by doing it this way, we're trying to exert the maximum amount of control we had over which projects the state would fund, and I think that was a very good process for everybody involved. Two more things quick I'll try to do. So the Empire State Development CFA applications were due, the big one was due back in July. We'll hopefully have a response here by the end of the year of all the projects that won that, but they're also, so for there's certain pots of money for Empire State Development, their grant funds specifically, that they pretty much do on a batch basis until they run out of funds. Their next batch deadline is December 29th. So if you have any businesses in your community that you think may be good candidates, please let me know, and we'll work with them to try to get them some state funds to do some expansion or business attraction projects, or could be modernization, getting new equipment, things like that. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, and this isn't something that's been so hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt that we haven't recorded on here, but the IDA has been talking about, and this is something that's sort of coming out of our whole Oswego County Micron Steering Committee. So Tim is sort of the chair of the housing component of that. We're sort of wrapping up this Oswego County Micron Steering Committee initiatives and action plan. One of the things that the IDA is looking at that's happening regionally is that there's a regional housing study that's taking place. Onondaga County is also doing their own housing study, and City of Syracuse is doing a housing study. And so we're talking about, is there a way that we could either fully or with support from the county look to fund an Oswego County housing study? And this could be to meet multiple things. It could be to see what are really our county needs for housing right now. Also to say, where are the areas that are going to see the most growth, and what types of housing growth are they going to see in these communities, which is also going to be helpful for the school districts to do their own planning and saying, hey, if they don't know what's coming, they're not going to be able to plan for it. If we can do some of these things, that's going to help us, it's also going to help us to attract developers. One of the things the city of Oswego was able to do, they did a housing study back in, I believe it was 2012, 2013. The housing study was used to attract out of town and out of state developers to do a lot of the both housing projects around Oswego. A lot of those are market rate housing projects. So we have something that can back up and show, hey, there is a market here. This is what you can charge. This is what you can get. We are showing we have a demand. We could attract a lot of quality housing development to happen in Oswego County, but we need to have that study to prove it. So that's something that it's not approved yet, but I think that's something that, especially if there is support from the county, we would look to do a project together where we're supporting a Oswego County housing study.
Austin, was that the study that led to the Renaissance Association?
It was kind of all happening around the same time. So I'm on the board for the Oswego Renaissance Association. That was one of the, so part of the housing study that was done there was showing that there was a need for more apartments and that there was a demand for housing because of the growth of Oswego Health, Novalis, and what was going on with the nuclear power plants and SUNY Oswego. There was also showing that there was while there was a lot of housing stock, there was a lot of substandard housing stock in the city. So part of it was, how can we take what we have now and improve it? And you know, so while that was, I wouldn't say that the ORA was a result of it. It helped to really justify the ORA in terms of when they were going to funders to get funding through Shinneman Foundation and Pathfinder Bank and others.
So it was a separate consultant
that was a separate consultant. That was CZB who did the consulting for ORA, and it was a different one that the city had contracted and hired to do their market study. But these are all things that all kind of happen around the same exact time.
Well, and that would be interesting. I mean, if we were to do this, to be able to look at the county like the Renaissance Association looked at the city to make those sort of, you know, red, yellow, green zones, and say, because that's going to help us with what we're doing with the with the land bank. And, you know, to essentially do a Oswego County Renaissance, program, just to look at the places where the land bank can have the most impact.
Right?
I'm not on the committee, and you know that, you've said it many times. But I'm sorry, this comes to the floor, I'm not going to be in favor of that, because what it's going to do is it's going to open up Pandora's box. They're going to say, you have room for affordable housing here, here, and here in Oswego County. And we saw what it did to the city of Oswego. We're fighting it in the city of Fulton, and I will continue to fight it in the city of Fulton. You want to put up single-family homes, $200,000-$300,000 homes, I'm for it all the way. But when you're talking about, well, you need this kind of housing here, we'll put, market value at the top, and the down below it will be affordable housing. Well, you know what? If you don't have market value filled, the guy's going to say, I'm going to put affordable housing up there too. And I'm not going to be in favor of, I just think I'll get outvoted on the floor if I'm the only one voting against it. But I'm telling you, if you guys open that Pandora's box, you guys are the ones that have to say, well, I guess we shouldn't have done it.
I understand that. And so one of the things right now is that Onondaga County is a little bit ahead of us in doing theirs. I would want to see what the initial sort of phase one results of theirs is before we kind of say we're going down a path we can't kind of come back from. So if there's something that we aren't necessarily in support of, you could limit your scope to how you want to do it. I mean, that's another thing, is you could always limit the scope of what you want the study to be.
We just went through the ag district, okay? And that's what we are. We are agriculture in Oswego County.
Okay.
That's why I want to be here.
Marie?
I'm sorry.
Justin, I feel desperately need some condominium housing looked at. And I am super happy to announce that all the soil testing was going on yesterday at the Spellman property on the river, which I don't know if you've ever walked down in there. Ooh. It's fabulous. Eagles, you've got the high dam, you got yachts going by. At the far end of that, I noticed that building just came available for sale. What used to be Icon awning, which is all, I don't know the state of the building, but it's in a very nice, safe area. I'm sorry to say, Oswego's not safe any longer. My daughter runs and everything. She said, don't run through Oswego, just don't do it. And we never had that issue, But I think with quality condominium construction, and people can also leave the area if they want to go for a few months, but we want spenders, retirees to not leave. I mean, we need those tax dollars. And I just think this housing that currently exists, none of the bottom pieces are used for retail space, which was part of the agreement. And I don't know where that leaves the property, but none of them are built. I've looked and walked around every one.
Tim?
So, and we've had this conversation in this committee a number of times as well. But one of the things that I did see through the city of Oswego's planning for how much housing do we need? That's going to be important, and not just for bringing in low to moderate income housing, but also for people who are investors who want to spend the big money to bring in the expensive condominiums. Having showing that there's demand for that can really open up doors that wouldn't be otherwise. So, I mean, I have theories. We all have ideas of what we see across the county. In chairing this Micron housing committee, one of the things I've seen is that there is a very strong divide in housing. There is a group who thinks we need so much more low and moderate income housing. People are here, we need to find a way to house them safely. And we have a whole other group who say, listen, we need to bump our tax base. We need to bring the type of people in here you want to live next door to. And is there a possibility that both those things could be true? It is possible, but I don't know that. And when I talk to one person, they have experiences from their own past, right? And so what I think it makes a lot of sense is to bring in the experts to understand what it looks like. What is the demand? You know, I believe that we are a farming community. There's a lot of other things we do. We're Mason here. I don't know enough about that world. It's a huge area, but I do know that there's not a lot of areas that we could bring in a mini Radisson in Oswego County. There are a couple, and I would love to see those developed. And I think that if we could start to understand what that would look like, who are the players to make it happen, what infrastructure needs are there to do something like that, this is the type of study that could do that. And I think we'll need those results, especially if those people are going to go get grant money. Because one thing we do know is if you want state money to build low and moderate income housing, it's pretty readily available. If you're looking for income to build market rate housing, it's not nearly as available.
You need investors.
Right, that's the point. And so you need to be able to show that return on investment, I think.
I'd just like to say we have a 10-minute warning here, guys. Is there any other?
I just have one quick thing to add. Is there any reason to believe that the private sector wouldn't do the study themselves? Because if there's money to be made, then the private sector is going to figure that need out and try to find a way to fill it. I don't know.
I think if you have the private sector do it, you're not going to have the influence on what you want to sort of focus on and what you want to make a priority of that study. If you leave it up to them, they're going to do a study the way they want to do it, and then you're out. You know.
There's nothing available in the wild. You know that. I look all the time.
Well, which is specifically why it would be important for us, if we're going to do this ourselves, to define what we want to accomplish by doing it. So I think your idea is right on, that we should be building more condominiums on the lakefront, on the riverfront.
Throwing money into wastewater treatment a long time ago.
Long time ago.
I agree, but I think the idea here is that if we have the study, we know the goal of what we're trying to figure out with the study, and it's specific to condominiums, more, higher level single homes, developments in certain areas. I mean, that helps us support putting in more infrastructure.
Can influence what you do with infrastructure.
Right. We know we've needed it a long time.
I know.
Can I just add one thing?
Yeah.
I live in the city of Oswego, and I'm sorry, Marie, but I think the city of Oswego is safe. I walk it. I walk all the neighborhoods that I can get out to, and I just want to make sure everybody understands it is safe. To hear someone say it's not safe, it's just not me. That's all.
Okay, do I have a motion? Oh, Dave?
No, it's good. Is Rachel here? It showed on the agenda. I don't know if you wanted.
Can I say one more thing? I think if you were to ask anybody on the Oswego PD how safe it is, they'll tell you it's a full-time job trying to manage First Street. Don't park your car on it. Forget it. It's a full-time job trying to manage it. Go down to Oswego PD.
I speak to the police all the time.
Okay, ask them. I talk to them. Yeah, it's not safe.
We're down to 8-minute warning, and David.
I think a very important piece of a housing study, if you were going to do it, would be to identify, we know the types of housing we'd like to have, so identify those shovel-ready sites where you can do that, and then other ones that need to be improved to become shovel-ready, so that we could have a plan about how we get to where we'd like to be.
Okay, Rachel.
All right, I'm gonna go real quick.
Okay. I'm sorry,
No.
Rachel, you weren't on the agenda, I didn't know if you had a report.
Nope, that's fine. Actually, what I wanted to share was just information that we got back from the state, our WIOA performance measure, within the past week. So I just wanted to bring it to all of you because I know this is a new thing, bringing WIOA, regulations to this committee. So what you'll see these performance measures, this is what we get, measured on a quarterly basis. We do have to meet these 80% of the goals that are set for us for employment, second quarter after exit, fourth quarter after exit, so employment retention. Also the median earnings of the folks that are being counted in there. The measurable skill gains, credential attainment measures, those are for those that we are putting through training, whether it be with a scholarship or on-the-job training at the local businesses. It's measuring what skill, if they are reaching the skills that are being put forth in the municipal contracts, and if they are successfully completed. So there are explanations on there, but we get these on a quarterly basis. I will say since COVID, the state is extremely behind in getting these to us because this is actually our final measures for our 2022 program year, which ended on June 30th. We just got these, but we have to do these, negotiate these measures based on what we're seeing on a quarterly basis. And I will say that our staff has done a great job. You can see we are exceeding all of these measures, and that's also based on the data entry that staff is doing as well, which with the turnover that we've seen in the past 2 years, I'm extremely happy that this is where we are at. So really what we're seeing is the people that are coming in. We're not seeing the numbers we did before COVID, but those that we are helping are being successful, are getting employment, and are retaining that employment. So I just wanted to bring that to all of you. And with the PTEC, we are putting a letter of support into their grant program. Hugh Community College is also planning to submit a grant in that same round. To do a women in manufacturing program with their Advanced Manufacturing Institute to try and do a special cohort to get more women into manufacturing. That would be adult. We are also looking under the Micron Future Ready Workforce Innovation Consortium of submitting a grant application as well under the operating grants for ESD on December 29th to help support replicating the Oswego Build, part of the CN1 Build initiatives for Pathways to Apprenticeship program to get more people into construction. We're still waiting to hear on a grant from the federal government on the same project, but we figured let's go after some money in New York State. So that's my quick.
Well, it's excellent though. The best part of it is, so as you say, is that the people that are going into it are actually being, they have a job at the end. So you may have fewer people, so it's not quantitative, it's qualitative.
Yes.
So, excellent. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions for Rachel? And I hear the motion to adjourn. Second? Okay. Thank you, everybody.